Hi, Tia.
Hi.
Thank you for having me at your home. It's a real pleasure to be here, and we tried to set this a couple of times, and I'm so glad that we're finally getting a chance to talk. And before we got started just now, we were talking about aging and about your perspective on aging, and I'd really love to hear more about that.
Well, I think that I came to a point where I made a decision. It was right after COVID or during COVID that I was not feeling well and I was very sedentary. And I made a decision. Was I going to get old, or was I going to get up and start something different? The first thing I did was I created a line of purses, actually. I decided to I was an interior designer for many years. And I decided to take my old samples and start making purses. So I made a line of purses. And it was really fun. I spent 62 days working on purses. And then I sold the whole lot of them. But it just gave me a perspective that you can create anything at any time you want in your life. Um, so one of the things that I have been doing for the last 26 years is self-development work. So self-development meaning, what is it to be human? Different perspectives on humanity. Um, what is really important? I've had a very interesting life, actually. Went to college, got married, had the, house in the suburbs, the two kids, all that, got divorced, everything kind of fell apart. And then it was many years to recreate myself. Like, what are you going to do? I think that the pressure of having my own business, having, being an interior designer is a lot of pressure. Especially I did very high-end interior design. So it was a lot of pressure and a lot of, you'd had to travel. I did 6 Junior League show houses, some major restaurants in Buffalo, some, very wealthy people. After doing all the self-development work, my identity actually really changed. It was like my priorities really changed, like what is important in life. And one of the most interesting things about being in design is that you get pretty close to these families that you're working for. So I could see that money doesn't really make you happy. I mean, they were some of the most unhappy. Some. I had wonderful, wonderful clients. I don't want to diminish any of them. I had some, and I still do a lot of work, but I could see that every. And I'm going to back up a minute because my career started out as a social worker, so I could see that the same problems, the same issues, with people with no money and people having, being in poverty and people being very wealthy in families were the same problems. Everybody has, we're all human. And so, the human condition isn't relegated to, how much money you have. It's all the human condition. Which interested me a lot because I thought to myself, okay, when I have money or when I don't have money, who are you going to be? And so that's where I got into a lot of the self-development work. And I've been doing it for 26 years. And so my perspective on aging now is that it's so much about how you think. And I've decided that I'm not ever getting old. I mean, I'm 75 right now, and I've decided that I'm not getting old. I am going to, my years might be there, but my attitude, my thinking, my body doesn't have to age in the traditional way that people are aging. I'm doing a course by Arnaud Goran. It's called Total Health Mastery, and it's a fabulous course. And he says, age is not your years, but what you have done over the years. And you can correct just about anything with the proper nutrition, with the proper lifestyle. And you can correct your skin, you can correct your bones, you can correct just about anything. But one of the things that was really interesting was that he lists all the nutrients and things that you need to live a good life, and the last one is love. Like, you have to have love is very, on his list of nutrients. So which is, a challenge if you're living alone for 20 years. I'm like, well, gosh, nobody's hugging me. You know what I mean? So in the past year, I took on a new profession to sell impact healthcare sharing through ACN, which is a multi-level marketing. And I had to get out into the networking world, which is how I met you. So I'm going to these networkings, and I'm probably, 20, 30 years older than everybody else. I am having a complete blast. I have to get dressed up. I'm going out to networkings. I'm going to events. I'm haven't sold a lot of impact, but for me, for what it's done for me, for my confidence. I mean, the first month that I was out, I felt like, oh man, I couldn't even, like, the first business networking I got up, I couldn't even say my name. And that's not like me, because I'm pretty confident, but I was like, oh gosh, what have I got myself into? But a year later, I'm thinking, this is the best thing I have ever done. It was worth every, whether I sell impact or not, the people that I've met, getting up, getting dressed, getting out of the house, being with young people, it's just been wonderful. And now, I thought that my interior design business was done, and I just by happenstance ended up with all my fabrics, leftover fabrics that I had in storage. They ended up back in my house. And when they first got here 6 months ago, they were all over the living room and dining room. We couldn't even walk in this house. I couldn't have anybody here. It was a disaster. I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this. And people were giving me advice like, just get rid of it, just throw them out. No, these are my babies. Like these little like furry little fabrics. They're my babies. I can't get rid of them. So I ended up taking all of my living room furniture up to the attic, putting bookcases in, and now I'm getting at the end of putting all these fabrics away. Opportunities in design are coming to me left and right. I just met somebody who's an upholsterer that wants to, do some funky little chairs. I met Christian who, refurbishes stuff, and they're just, so my life is so full right now. I don't have enough hours in the day to do what I want to do. And I wake up happy every day.
That's incredible, because it sounds like that wasn't the case just a few years ago, and you really built awareness around that, and of course you built that awareness with all the work you've done on self-development to be able to communicate with yourself, and realizing that, and then taking action on it and saying, I need to change my life because I want this out of it and I don't have it. And you did that, and as you say, you're 75, and it's very inspiring, because I meet a lot of people who are half your age and younger, and they are complacent, they are unhappy, and they're not doing anything about it, and that makes me very sad. So I'm really glad to hear that part of your story.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, it was last year I did this course called Arnaud Goran Seminars. It was at Christmas last year, and it was online. It was a 3-day seminar. It wasn't that expensive. I thought. And I thought I was at the end of this self-development stuff too. I was like, I've spent I can't tell you how much money, if I ever said how much money I spent at self-development work, you'd say you're out of your mind. But you know what? I don't regret one penny I spent, because when I look at so many other people my age who are decrepit, who are like talking about their arthritis and talking about this and talking about that. I have arthritis. I'm going to PT right now. I'm like, okay, how do you reverse this? How do I take care of my skin? How do I do that? Like, no, I'm not going there. I just say to myself, I'm not going there. But this course that I took last Christmas, and it's very interesting because he talks about the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of life. So you could take care of your physical, but if you don't take care of the emotional, to remove any negative emotion that you have in your body, they actually live in your body, you have to remove those as well. And that's what I've been working on. And the more I remove all that and anything in the past that I have that's negative, and it's a very simple process. It's just something that you do right before you go to sleep or when you wake up in the morning. I mean, before my feet hit the ground in the morning, my vibration is high. I don't care what has happened. I can erase it and I can say, okay, it's a new day, and it's not just positive thinking. That doesn't really work. You have to have ways of emotion of erasing the real emotional things that have happened in your life. And he's doing a paper right now that shows that those traumas live in your cells and that they can be removed. So this is like, hallelujah, praise God. I'm like, okay, I'm in, and it works. I mean, I'm living proof it works.
I could also share a similar experience with yoga. And in yoga, there are many, many times when I'm in a position and my body's contorted in some kind of way, and I will get this real specific memory of an experience that might have happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, which I haven't thought about in a long, long time. And because it's there, I feel like it's there in my body, and I'm kind of releasing it there. And to your point of kind of eliminating the negativity, I think that there's a couple of things there. One is just thinking, placing it and like talking about it, whether literally or in your head, and just really like verbalizing what it is, like saying it out loud and kind of really saying this is happening to me or this happened to me is a really important part. But the second part, which it sounds like you have built yourself to, is really just being present. Like you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm ready for the day. What's going to happen today? What am I going to get into? And what happened tomorrow happened what happened yesterday happened yesterday, right? And it affected me, but today I'm going to make what I can of today. And so it's being present in the moment.
Yeah, and I think that the power of intention also. Like, I put an intention almost every night that I'm going to attract people that are going to contribute to my life, and attract people that I can contribute to, and that I can attract, and I just met somebody that, is an upholsterer that, I think we're going to really have a good time, doing some work together. And, my whole life has changed so much just by putting this intention in every day. I'm going to attract the people. I'm going to be with the people that are going to contribute to my life. And also, I have 2 grandchildren. That is a joy. I mean, that is, you can't be around little children and be in a bad mood. So I see them once a week, and I babysit once a week, and that's a very high priority for me. And I mean, it's about making up your mind. This is how. So as a designer, how am I going to create my life? Okay, so I'm living alone for a long time. I don't have a lot of, monetary resources right now. My kids are grown and gone. I don't have the energy to be in a full-blown design business the way I used to, because I mean, after all, you have to like carry wallpaper books, you have to carry fabric samples, you have to be on all that. Like it's like, okay, been there, done that. But you know, how can I design it that's going to work and it's going to make me happy every day? And I got very involved during COVID. You know, I mean, you know how the camps split, you know, the vaxxed and the non-vaxxed and everybody. So that was a very bad time because I was on the non-vax side and my whole family was on the vax side, and people were really mean about it. And it was very isolating. And then I went to a couple of meetings where there were people that were on the non-vax side, and we formed a group, and we formed a community of people who studied holistic health. That's how basically I got into all this health stuff. I mean, I was always kind of, you know, health conscious, but didn't have a clue about, you know, like everybody had, we all got ivermectin and hydrochloroquine, you know, right from the beginning. Like said, and how do you make your own hydrochloroquine at home? Like with the grapefruit, you know, peels and everything, so you keep up your immune system and all that stuff. Well, I mean, that was a whole new world for me. So we're still together. We're still like three, you know, in fact, they're coming to my house for a party on January 18th. So that was a whole new group, a whole new community of people. And then I moved into Allentown. My landlord raised the rent, and I was living there somewhere for 17 years. Beautiful apartment on West Ferry Street. And they raised the rent $400 a month with no notice. And I was sitting there, I was laying on my couch, I'm like, and first of all, you know, it was during COVID. I was like so lackadaisical at the time because you couldn't, you know, go anywhere. And and I got sick a lot during that time, you know, early on. But so I'm sitting, and they said you have 3 months, and I just out of pure like creation, I said, I'm not getting all upset about this. Something will happen that is going to change things. So I thought, well, if worst comes to worst, and then I had all those fabrics that I didn't know what the heck I was going to do with in one of the bedrooms there. Worst comes to worst, we'll just see, you know, maybe I'll sign the lease, or maybe I won't, or maybe I'll just go month to month, or, you know, I can swing it. But I was just angry because I was there for 17 years and they didn't give me any notice. And plus I helped them a lot there. One of my clients owned that building before it was sold to this big, you know, this corporate people. So right the month before, I renovated this house that I'm in right now. I renovated this house in 2008. We took it down to the studs, and this is all rebuilt. I've designed every inch of it.
Wow.
So my friend, I sold it to him. That was my partner. I sold it to him back then. So he called me out of the blue. Hadn't talked to him in 6 months. And he called me out of the blue and goes, well, you know, downstairs at St. John's is open if you want it. And, you know, I'll pay the rent that you're paying there, and I won't raise your rent. And so I was like, okay. Like that was the last minute, you know, like the last 30 days of knowing that. So I moved here, and at first I was very, I don't know where I'm going to put the furniture. Here, I'm a designer, right? I don't know where I'm going to put my furniture. This place is so open. I only got 2 closets, you know. Like the other place was huge. It had like big closet, big storage in the basement, and everything. So anyway, I moved here, and the first year it was very difficult, just because just moving is very stressful. It was terrible. And but the second year, like there's a community garden down the street. I've met so many people in this neighborhood. I supported the guy, you know, Michael Gaynor was going for mayor this year. So I had a party here for Michael Gaynor. I met all these people that were supporting Michael Gaynor. He has that the Buffalo Reuse and Restore. Do you know? Okay, so I bought all this stuff from him. Like the bathroom is all all a lot of reuse stuff here, just to make it look originally Victorian. The woodwork and all that. So I mean, I've been having a blast.
It really sounds like it. Michael actually did one of these interviews a couple of weeks ago at
Michael Gaynor?
At Reuse. Yeah, I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he's
so you
great.
Can check that out.
Because I brought Michael to Buffalo. I brought him
to the coffee club.
To the coffee club, yes, because he's a friend. So and then just walking down at the pier, I met a woman who's a holistic practitioner. We've become friends. She lives around the corner. I've met so many. Stephanie Robb, who owns, do you know Stephanie? Mm-hmm. She owns Turnstile Designs. It might be somebody, it's a little dress shop on Ashland and Ashland and Lexington. And she's the one, God bless her soul, took all these fabrics and had them upstairs from her shop for 2 years. And I mean, it's amazing she's still even talking to me, because she was like, get this stuff out of here. Because I wasn't doing anything with it, and but if it wasn't for her, this wouldn't have happened. So I'm so grateful to her, and we kept our friendship intact. So it was wonderful. But it's like, so now I'm like I lived in Williamsville for 20 years, and when my kids were gone, I moved into the city, and that's when I moved into West Ferry, because my client owned the building next door, and I also was manager of that. I was the rental manager there for a while, and I took care of things. So I've had such a rich life. I mean, so many different experiences. Having, a very successful business, having a lot of money, not a lot. I mean, we weren't wealthy, but we had very, very comfortable. To being like not having enough money to put gas in my car, to I don't know where I'm going to live, to, this past year has probably been one of the happiest years of my life.
Ditto, in many ways. So that's lovely to hear. And so, you say you've lived a rich life and you're 75, but again, it feels to me like you're getting started on a new chapter of your life.
I'm just
like
getting
very
warmed
much
up.
So. Yeah, like that's what it feels like. You don't I don't see you settling down anytime soon.
Oh no. There's so many things I want for my future. For one thing, I'm doing, Impact Health because I completely believe in it, number one. Secondly, it's residual income, which I understand. I used to own apartments. We had 7 apartment buildings. I won't go into all that, but but I really believe in the program, and I really believe that people, should not be paying, these young families, when guys are doing well, should not be paying $2,400, $2,600 a month for their health insurance. So that, our programs with the benefits are really good. They're down to like $500 or $600 a month. That is amazing. And then what can a family do with, $2,000, $1,500 extra a month? So I really believe in that program, and that's what got me into the networking group, okay? Secondly, I can never get away from being a designer, because that's in my bones. And thirdly, holistic health and health for the aging, and possibly, I got this feeling that I should be, do some public speaking for, aging and changing the whole conversation around aging. Now, I don't know, I'm not going to get online and say, okay, I'm taking a course in public speaking. I'm not ready there, but there's so much in my life that I feel that I can offer that I'm not nearly done. I'm just getting started. And I'm getting, you know what the best part is? I'm getting started from a place of, I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to perform, because I was a big performer my whole life, I have to be excellent at this and excellent at that, and Tia can do anything, and that is way too much pressure. I'm not dyeing my hair. I barely wear makeup half the time. now.
How did you free yourself from that mentality, which is, built over decades, right? It's built over a lifetime.
I think I just got exhausted. I got exhausted. It was like, this is way too much work. And you know what? It's not really who I am. So when you say, when you just get grounded in, this is who I am and I really like myself, you don't have to perform for anybody anymore.
Absolutely. I've had a similar experience over the past few years, and life-changing. But it does take work to really understand yourself. And I think I'm still very early on in that journey for me, but I've made a lot of progress in a few years. And it is like, I feel I lived the life up until 2025, and I've started a whole new life at this point. And it kind of feels like you're in a similar kind of, but maybe you've lived 3 or 4 of those lives, and kind of now you're on the next one.
Yeah. So, I'm so grateful every day. I'm so grateful. Like, wake up, you can see there's a little sign in my bathroom. It says grateful or joy, like joy in the littlest things. Like, I had an amaryllis that had 15 blooms on it in my living room, and I bought it at Price Rite for $5, and this thing, the sprouts just kept coming up. There was 15 blooms on it every morning. I was like, honey, you are so beautiful. You just, like, the littlest things can really make you happy, and that little plant just gave me so much joy. And my grandchildren, just looking at the, beautiful little lives. And there's just, I don't know. I think it's waking up. It's waking up to, life. And we don't have to, suffering is optional. Arno gave a very good perspective about even death. If you lose somebody who dies, and I've felt this way before when I did the Avatar course. I believe that life goes on forever. So I talk to my parents. I have pictures of my parents in my bedroom, and I talk to them all the time. And you don't have to be in grief. Some cultures celebrate death, like, oh, now you're free. And they kind of mourn birth, like, okay, now your spirit's in a body, and you have to live through the suffering and the pain of being a human. But we don't have to really suffer so much. And I was really good at suffering. I was excellent at suffering, because Italians, and one of the Landmark Forum leaders said, Italians, the women put a black veil on, and they clomp down the aisle at church because somebody died in Italy once. So those are spiritual things that were like down generations. Like, you're supposed to be suffering. You don't have to.
So what would you say to kids in their 20s today? Like how would you recommend they kind of pursue life to kind of find this peace that you found at this age?
I think that doing the self-development work is key. Find out who you are, what brings you joy, the stories that you tell yourself. From one of the most interesting experiences I had in the Landmark Forum was the Landmark Forum. It was in Toronto, and I was an introduction leader for Landmark Forum. I was an Avatar master. I taught Avatar for 15 years. Now I'm doing a number of other things, and now I'm into Arno Grand, which I'm going to give you because there's an introduction tonight, and it is really, I think consciousness is speeding up. But I think that when you do who you are, when you know who you are, when you do who you are, and not perform for anyone, not not buy into all the indoctrinations and live your life from what makes you happy. I don't believe that there's a lazy person. I don't believe that people are lazy. I believe that people are just not doing what they're meant to do. And it's very depressing.
How would you, like, the word that always comes to mind in that kind of thought is curiosity, right? If people are curious, they're going to grow because they're just going to be asking questions of themselves and the world and what's possible. And if you're not curious, you're those people, right, who don't grow.
Well, and why aren't you curious? Children are born curious. Somebody knocked that out of them. You know, that is the issue. That's the issue. Like, you know, we are, as a species, curious. Little children are curious. You know, and if somebody knocked that out of you, like, go back and find it. Go find the curiosity. Go find, like, what lights you up, what makes you happy. I don't think anybody is going to be happy sitting behind a screen.
I mean, that's the perfect place to end, because I think curiosity is the greatest tool anyone can develop, and I think that curiosity is a spectrum, right? You can be 0 on the spectrum or 100, and if you're 100, you're flying to the moon on your own. If you're 0, you're going to be dead pretty quickly, right? And everyone on the planet is on this spectrum, and everyone, as you say, has been stifled because we're all curious as children, right? So something happens in your life, and so Q, for me, that's one of my missions, is to spark curiosity in people again, to spark this question asking about themselves, about their lives, about the world around them, to say, is this good? Am I happy? What more can I get out of life, and what value? And curiosity is the core to anything involving growth. So I think that's a lovely perspective, and clearly you are a very curious person and have been for a very long time, and it's inspiring to see. I always love to meet older people who are just full of life. I have my landlady who's 79, and she could be 50 years old. She's got so much energy, and so this has been wonderful, and it's been lovely to hear about your experience, because you've had a great one, clearly, and a diverse one, and I think it's, as well, that is always appealing to me when people have done a lot of different things, because I'm sure there's so much you took from one experience into another, which may have been completely different, but it all connects in one way or another, and of course that connection is the human, is you, is how you think and feel, and how that evolves through these experiences. And well, it sounds like you have been really thoughtful about that, and I think that has been one of your greatest assets in life, because 5 years ago you could have just gone downhill, but
I could have,
and we've all had moments like that where we could have said, I'm just done with this, this is hard, but so I'm so pleased you did that. I'm so pleased you did the work, because what I know of you is really just joyful and energetic and passionate about living, and there's not many people you meet that have such an energy for life. So just wanted to share that. But before we finish, if you want to share anything else you wish you had shared, or you can ask me a question, whatever you would like to finish on.
I can't think of anything right now. I mean, I thank you so much for seeking me out, and I'm happy to share, and if I can help anyone. And I would also say that having people look for ways. You can't figure it all out yourself. So look for ways, look for grand seminars, or, whatever you want to, that, is because people that have clearly, put out these seminars, I mean, I think that they should be substitutes for, people should have to go through this before they go through college, so that they can, first of all, dissolve the negative things that have happened to you in your past, because carrying those around is like carrying poison. It's for your mind, for your body. So get rid of the poison and then look what shows up.
So the message I'm going to take from that is start doing the work as soon as possible, as early as possible, and your life will be better as a result, and
Absolutely.
arguably exponentially better the more and more you get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you.